We're good to go.
I think so.
Yeah?
All right.
The floor is... Oh, hang on. You're not quite there yet, Bill.
No.
The floor is almost yours.
Hang on, I haven't got my clicker.
Come on, hurry up.
Haven't got
Get
my
your pointer.
clicker. Where's my clicker?
There we go. All right, the floor is yours,
All
Bill.
right. Let's see. I think it's that button. There you go. All right. First of all, thank you, Kim, for that presentation. It was interesting and unexpectedly emotional. Tonight we're talking about what's in the sky, late December to early January 2025. I will talk a little bit, because there's no January meeting, I will talk a little bit about after that, but that's basically where we're going. Come on. There we go. Tonight, as always, we're on the lands of the Bunurong and the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation. I'm going to talk about general conditions at this time of year, mostly about the summer solstice, which is now. And then I'm going to get into the usual what's in the sky, where's the moon, what planets there are, including a little bit of how to find this info, because we're not doing one of these things in January. Then I'll talk about getting orientated, constellations, brass stars, as usual. Suggested targets, visual and photographic, and then I'll talk about some 5 a.m. stuff for the people who want to get out of bed early, or the people who've got a baby or a dog. Finally, things to look out for this month. Oh, can we have some lights off, please? One more. We can't turn that one? No, what about that one? Yeah. Because that's going to stuff us up a bit. Can we turn it off? Yeah, put the power back. Oh, this. I have to do it myself. I've always been one for doing things the right way. All right, general conditions. I'm going to stand up here. General conditions at this time of year. We are at the minimum darkness now. Summer solstice is on the 21st, obviously. So we're getting close there. We're very close, actually. Because of the shape of the sine wave, we're almost there anyway. Sunset's about 8:30. Dark about an hour later-ish. Next month it's 8:44, so it's almost no difference. Sunrise is at 5:50 a.m. And next month is going to be about 6:10. So there's a little bit of a difference there. It's because of the shape of the sine wave. The flip side, it's the start of open cluster season. Now, open clusters tend to form around the plane of the Milky Way, and globs tend to hang around the galactic centre. That's what they do. So just to give you an idea of how many clusters there are, there they are. Look at them all. There's a couple of the globs are sort of like there and there and there, and there's a couple up there. But mostly all of this area here is all open clusters. So that's great for visual astronomers like us, or should I say, I've got a foot in both camps, I suppose, but visual astronomers love open clusters, especially the people who do the tours of the thing. Summer solstice, sunset is on the 21st at 8:38 p.m. at azimuth 239.37, so that's around about there, and the sun comes down like that. Due west is, of course, 270, so that's where it is at the equinoxes. Sunrise is on the 22nd is 5:58 at azimuth 120, which is on the other side of the person who took this photograph. Back. Solar coordinates at this time of year are 18 hours exactly. That puts the sun in Sagittarius. Declination is 90 minus the latitude of where you happen to be, the Antarctic Circle, so that's minus 23.26. But by the way, this is the Wurdi Solar Observatory. It's what we believe to be the oldest solar observatory on the planet. It's just to give you an idea, Western astronomy has been going for like maybe 3,000 years. This is about somewhere between 10 and 20,000 years old, and it's in Lara in south of Melbourne. So it's done by obviously the responsibility of the First Nations, and they did a very good job. As you can see, they nailed the winter solstice. You stand on the stone, which is not in the shot there. Stand there and you sight along these stones, it's the winter solstice, you sight along those stones and you see the southern solstice. It's highly accurate. There's also 3 sighting stones down there for the equinoxes. For young astronomers, speaking of the summer solstice, I'm going to ask a question. Why does the sun set to the left of west and rise to the right of east, which is over there, in summer? And does it look the same from the northern hemisphere? And does it do the same in winter? So you young astronomers who are hopefully out there in YouTube land, yeah, start scratching your heads. Okay, for the loonies, let's see. Full moon is on Sunday the 15th, so it's coming up fairly shortly. It's well into the north in this day, so it's going to be low in the sky for another week or so. It's 25% into its distance range, so I'm calling it a meh moon. It's neither a super or a mini moon. It rises, because it's a full moon, it rises at sunset and sets at sunrise, which means that, like this photograph, it's poor viewing because you're not casting any shadows, so it's very flat. It's very boring to take a photograph or watch the moon at full moon. Obviously, it's up all night and over the following week, and it's going as a waning gibbous. The last quarter is just before Christmas. It crosses into the south on the same day, so it's going to start to get high in the sky again. Obviously, on that day, it's going to rise due east. It rises at midnight and sets at noon, and then over the following week as a waning crescent. So it's getting smaller and smaller. It'll get thinner and harder to see as it gets closer to the sun as well. And you view it in the morning and later on this week in the early afternoon. Now, the new moon for the astrophotographers is on New Year's Eve, which means it rises at sunset and sets at it rises at sunrise and sets at sunset with the sun. It's a waxing crescent. You will be able to see it a couple of days either side of the new moon. It's going to be really, really hard to see it. We saw a great one up at Sea Lake. First quarter, Tuesday the 7th, a week later. It rises at noon, sets at midnight as usual. Best viewing, that's for people who are organising a star party. Then you look at it over the following week as a waxing gibbous. It's going to the north on the 6th, so it's kind of east, and then it'll be low in the sky for the next fortnight. And how do I get this information? This is stuff that I got from JPL. Through astropixels.com. It is the proportion illuminated, the lunar distance, the lunar declination, as well as the solar declination. And this gives me all of this information. I'll just quickly run through it because, you know, I do it once every year or so. The phase of the moon is indicated by the dark green line, and obviously the new moon is when the phase is 0. First quarter is 50%, full moon is 100%, and last quarter is when it is 50%, and these are the dates down the bottom. The lunar distance gives you whether or not the moon is going to be big or small. Mini moon is not bad here and here because they're fairly high up. This is very much not a super moon. It's a meh moon. It's about 20-25%. That one's absolute garbage. So you wouldn't call it a super moon there, but I'm sure some media outlet will. The lunar declination is when it goes north and south of our equator, and as you can see, it's north up there, it goes down south, and it's south in there. And solar declination, I've really put that in because look, there's a summer solstice on the 22nd. So, you put these lines together and you can find eclipses and all sorts of weird stuff. It's very, very handy. So that's that. Okay, planets over the next month. This is mainly from the ASB yearbook. Mercury is going back to a morning object. It changes just about every month. It's buried still in the twilight. You won't be able to see much of it. Venus is still very, very bright. It's magnitude minus 4.3 in the evening. You can probably hear it from here. And it sets very, very late at the moment. It's about maximum, close to maximum elongation at 11:40. Mars is rising at about the same time that Venus sets, sort of just before midnight. It's in retrograde now, and it's going to start to get very bright. Opposition is mid-January. I think it's the 6th. Is that right? I can't remember. This is the best time to observe Mars. So get out those telescopes. You're going to need a telescope with a fairly long focal length because Mars is very small. But if you squint, you can see all sorts of detail on it. Jupiter is past opposition, so it's kind of going. It's rising before sunset. It's still bright, but it's in a good place for observation. It's in the open end of the V of the Hyades, but you won't need any signposts because it's the bright thing. If you're looking for the Hyades, it's the V-shaped thing near Jupiter, not the other way around. Saturn is setting just after midnight. It's kind of past its prime. The rings are still closing. It will be past conjunction when in March of 2025. So that's going to be a very, very interesting time to be looking at Saturn because it's going to be completely naked. You won't see the rings and you won't see a shadow. And at that time, it's also going to be a morning object because it's gone past conjunction. Uranus is setting at about 4 a.m, so it's good for all-night viewing. It's still ahead of Jupiter. It's going to be a little bit harder to find because it's not a very bright object. Look for using a large, long telescope, you'll look for a sort of a greeny-blue object. Not very far from the Pleiades. Neptune is following Saturn, rising and setting about a half an hour after. It's following it, so Saturn comes up, Neptune is after it, and it's a little bit bluer than Uranus. Pluto is a planet, and it's very difficult now. It sets soon after twilight, so it's pretty much gone for the season. Okay, how to get information? Bye. Bye. Oh well, I don't know what happened. I've been eclipsed. So, oh, there you go. Right, so planets, this is how you get the information from the yearbook. Now, I received my yearbook in the post this afternoon. It's just been posted out. I got this a little bit early because, I'm friends with the president, apparently. In the back of the yearbook, you see this weird-looking thing. This shows you rising and setting times for the planets all the way through the year, including the sun. This is the sunrise and the sunset. Actually, that's the sunset there. That's the sunrise there. So you can tell roughly when they rise and set, and that's really very useful little thing. Remember the times here are Australian Eastern Standard Time, not Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. The other thing that you'll find very useful is the monthly pages in the yearbook. This is January and February. You can ignore the squiggly lines there. That's Jupiter's moons, but you'll see the first quarter and mini moons and bits and pieces like that there. So that's how I get my information, and apart from other bits and pieces. Yes.
Edge on for Saturn. It's reading.
Yes.
We also get transits of the moons of Saturn.
Yes.
Anywhere to get that sort of information?
I don't think those ephemerides are in the, or those phenomena are in the yearbook, are
Not
they?
in our yearbook,
Yes.
but is there another place to go?
There will inevitably be another place to go, but Google is your friend. So, but yeah, it'll probably be something like astropixels.com or something. Yeah. I've never actually seen a transit on Saturn. So, British Astronomy. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
Excellent. Ask a question, get an answer from an expert. Getting orientated. I'm somebody who prepares talk. Getting orientated. This is the sky facing south at 10 p.m. So the Southern Cross, one of our signposts, is very close to the bottom. It's about 7 o'clock in that clock. Just get rid of the clock. There it is. Orion is rising in the east. That's our second signpost, and the third signpost is gone. That's Scorpius. So there are three things we look for. For orientation stars, we've got Canopus, which, if you remember the clock face, Canopus leads the Southern Cross around the pole, and Achernar is pretty much, there it is. And Achernar is opposite the cross around the pole. So actually, Achernar and Mimosa, or Achernar and possibly Hadar, is a good way of finding the southern celestial pole, south celestial pole. I don't know why I'm pointing. I've got this thing. And there's Hadar, and there's Achernar, and in the middle is south celestial pole. That's a fairly good way of doing it. Fomalhaut is to the west of the zenith, so it's starting to move off. Sirius is bright and it's lowish in the east, so we're starting to get Orion season. And red Aldebaran is near the V shape. Don't look at Jupiter. Aldebaran is in the V shape of the Hyades asterism on the other side of Orion from Sirius, and don't get it confused with Betelgeuse. So now the planets at this time of night, Jupiter is bright in the east, and then Saturn is still there. It's getting dimmer and it's past the meridian, but it's still there. Venus is extremely bright. And I think that's all we've got for the planets. So there you go. Right, so visual targets for the evening. We've got Venus, obviously. You've got to be fairly quick because it's gonna get down below buildings and trees and stuff like that. Saturn is still there, and now Beta Tucanae is a triplet. It's just past the zenith there. It's not quite close for a donut warning, but it's a little bit on the south side. 47 Tuc is also there. That's a great thing to look at if you've got a decent aperture. In a small telescope, it will be just a bit of a blob. P. Eridani, the cat's eye double, which is really nice. That's very close to Achernar. You can see that in your finder scope. If you find Achernar, it's the thing which is right next to it, slightly to the north. Theta Eridani is another double, which is not very far from the zenith. That one gets a donut warning. The Tarantula Nebula is still on the east of the zenith, so it'll be good viewing. You can see that with most types of instruments. You can see that with your naked eye if you know where it is in a dark sky site. Pleiades, it's the first time I've mentioned the Pleiades, I think, this year. Very wide open cluster. It's hard to get it all in a long telescope. You want this is the place where you want a pair of binoculars or a small telescope. Gamma Arietis is right on the north-south line. What do they call that? Meridian. Thank you. Slight problem there. Yeah, that's a nice double. It's easy to find, although not tonight. The moon's too close. The diamond cluster is the first. I decided to throw in our cluster because it's the start of the cluster season. They're all around there. This one, the diamond cluster, is about the closest to the zenith that I could find, so that's the one I picked. So, and obviously the Great Nebula Orion, it's coming. Everyone likes to see that. It's very nice. Sirius, yes, it's a double. A lot of people don't know it, and it's hard to see, but the companion is really, really small. So, but if you've got a decent telescope, you should be able to spot that. It's a bit of a challenge for you. Obviously, Jupiter is still there, and the last challenge is the poor man's double cluster. They're not great clusters, but you can get two of them in the one field of view. So that's another one. Oh yeah, one of my favourites, Southern Alberio, very nicely coloured double. It's still very early. You probably want to wait until midnight or something like that before it comes up. But yeah, that's well worth a shot. So they're the visual targets. Right, photographic targets. This is where I rip off Facebook users unmercifully. So, Southern Pinwheel Galaxy, that's Diego's. It's not green enough, Diego. No, he's busy. He's busy with another club tonight, so he's not listening. But, Triangulum Galaxy, Lee, green. Thank you. It's one of the last chances. It's past the meridian by now, so you won't get very many hours on it. 1365, I think that's Russell's. I can't remember whose that was, I'm sorry. But there's a donut warning on that one because it comes very close to the zenith, so if your telescope can't point straight up, you're going to have a problem. Large Magellanic Cloud and the Tarantula Nebula, easy one to get. This one's from one of the remote observatories. Helix Nebula, as you can see, that's satisfactorily green, so it's my photograph. Pleiades, oh, God, who's that? So he's been begging me for months to put up one of his phone photographs. So there you go. Pleiades M45. You need a wide field. It's a nice shot there, Mark. Got a nice bit of nebulosity. 47 Tuck and the SMC. Great shot there by Jeff Healy. It's a nice telescope. Now, no presentation is complete without an Eddie Pang shot. It will blow your socks off. That is amazing. It's now the Crab Nebula, you're going to have to get onto fairly quickly if you want it, because it doesn't stay around for very long. We've only got about 2 or possibly 3 months at the very most, and that's when you're shooting less than about 15 degrees. So it's a hard one to get. Rosette Nebula, it's one of the early ones. That's just hydrogen alpha there, Kim. That's my own shot. That's a 2-pane. Cone Nebula, I think that's Gerald's. Yeah, that's Gerald's photograph. I don't know if he's listening, but hi, Gerald. It's Christmas. He put that up. So I'm stacking them in because this is 2 months worth. The Carina Nebula is a little too early still, but yeah, it's coming. Again, too much green, Bill. Here's the Diamond Cluster. That's a photograph I took just the other day. Thank you, Elon Musk. That was just a test image. This is 4 shots in RGB, so it's nice. Orion area, obviously, another Diego photograph because it's red and not green. I really like this Barnard's Loop. It's something I've never been able to photograph. I've never had the equipment to be able to do it. But yeah, it's something that boggles my mind. It's nowhere near as big as the Gum Nebula, but it is very, very impressive. Now, around the Orion area, there's the Witch Head, which is Minus's photograph. The Orion Nebula itself is Terry's photograph, and there's the Running Man as well, which is great. That movie's on tonight, I think. And there's obviously the Horsehead Nebula as well, another Mark Escaro photograph. I think it might be a Sea Star photograph. No, it's a phone one. Oh, okay, there you go. So, look, I've been too generous. All right, so that's all of that. 5 a.m. tomorrow. You can see the Southern Cross is getting quite high, which means that you'll be able to see all of that nice area in there. That's the Carina Nebula and all that good stuff that's in there. Come on. There you go. Orion is now well past the meridian, but coming up, you'll see Antares and Scorpius. So we've got both of them in the sky at the same time. Early morning planet season is over. You planetoid people will have to stay up late rather than getting earlier. We've got Jupiter and we've got Mercury about to rise. It's going to be very, very hard to get because it's still in twilight. And obviously Mars is past the meridian at 5 a.m. It's moving backwards that way and it's going to be awesome. All right, random observations. The next few days, the Geminids are going. It's a best from the Northern Hemisphere one, but and the rating is near Castor and Pollux. Now, the cool thing about this is that some of the Geminids go upwards. They go whoop from the so they don't fall, they climb. So look after 2 a.m. and it's north. Obviously, 21st of December is the southern solstice. 25th of Mercury is its greatest elongation, so that's when it climbs out of the twilight. 5th of January, Earth is at perihelion, which does not explain why it gets very warm in January, but it's a good story to start with. The 10th of January, Venus's greatest elongation. It's not actually going to be very significantly different to what it looks like at the moment. It's very, very bright. 13th of January is the closest approach of Mars, and the 16th is opposition, so we're all hoping that Elon's going to disappear. Now, I haven't made a Uranus joke for a while, so Uranus is stationary on the 31st of January. So its retrograde starts. So there you go. Jupiter is stationary and it ends its retrograde, so that's the reason why it's getting dimmer. By the way, Uranus doesn't really change its brightness very much while it's in retrograde because it's just so damn far away. So the 12th of February is the next monthly meeting. So are we having a January one? Let's just get rid of that. So that's pretty much it, people. There you go. Ooh.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. 47 Tuck.
Yeah.
Do you know, I like to use that at demonstrators or at Melbourne Observatory on Monday nights now.
Yes.
To visually find it through the 8-inch dobs in the field and then explain to people that at a dark sky site you can go, oh, there it is.
That thing.
Yeah, that thing there. But at Melbourne Observatory, when you look through an 8-inch dob and you go, oh, is that it?
Is that it?
It's a fuzzy little blob.
Yeah. With the trap and things, I don't even bother. You can probably get it okay with the
12-inch Mercer, we can get it, but it's not great. It's really not great. But it's a great object to explain to people. Second brightest globular cluster in the night sky, and it's hard to see through a telescope in Melbourne. That's what light pollution does to you.
Light pollution sucks.
Thank you for including my Pleiades. I will say it does benefit when you use a mobile phone to use a $10,000 telescope. And it really annoys astrophotographers as well. It's very good at
Excuse me,
doing
my
that.
telescope is ringing.
Yes. So thank you, Bill. That was a wonderful presentation. And we do have a talk in January. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. Pretty sure it's the second Wednesday, 7th. Did I say 7th? I will say check the calendar is what I will say because I can't remember off the top of my head. 8th is, there we go, it's the 8th of January. So that's the second Wednesday. Yes.
8th of January.
8th of January.
Well,
You're not on holidays, are you?
I'm doing a dome visit from the 11th.
Well, you'll have to beam in you'll be in Lightning Ridge.
I'm in Lightning Ridge.
Yeah, we'll get Bill to beam in from Lightning Ridge. There we go. Yes. So there is a caravan park in Lightning Ridge that has a telescope in it.
There's a 2-metre scope dome and it's currently been broken into and
it's fenced off. Is the way to put it.
It's
Now,
not
Colin,
feeling well.
Will the skies clear? So we will open the observatory tonight for those who are here, and we will have a wonderful array of snacks, Christmas snacks. I know there are gingerbread men out there. I'm very excited by that. But we will see everybody again on the 8th of January. We will have a panel discussion headed up by Bruno. He's an ASV member, and we're going to have a panel discussion on cosmology and astrophysics, which we've been trying to organise for a while, but that's what we're going to do next in January. And for those of us who are here, we'll head out now and enjoy some tea and then go out and look through the telescopes at Melbourne Observatory. And for everybody else, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Check the website. We've got some great events, and we will see you in January.